So, for a few years now, I have been trying to perfect a mac and cheese, macaroni and anything, that would rehydrate in 5 minutes without cooking. And I always ended up with chewy noodles. But I didn't give up, so whenever I had a spare slot in the freeze dryer, I'd try a different technique. And the last time I did one, this last load that I did a test in, it worked. So today we are going to make some spicy mac and cheese. That's because I don't really like plain mac and cheese. It's just kind of bland to me. And we're making it with macaroni. So what I have here is a 1 pound box of macaroni elbows that I cooked al dente per the box directions, with no oil though, or no salt or anything. I didn't add anything to it, just water, and I boiled them for 7 minutes. Then I rinsed them in cold water and drained them. So what I'm going to do is put those in this bowl right here. Now you guys might turn your nose up to this, but it works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add water to these noodles until they're totally covered. Alright, so that's about 7 cups. You can see they're soaked in water. Now I'm going to stick these in the refrigerator overnight. And everybody might be thinking, well, then you're going to end up with really soggy noodles. But let me say what happened here. These noodles are cooked to al dente. They're going to draw water. They are going to soak up the water from the refrigerator. But what that's going to do is that it's going to open the pores of those noodles. But it's not cooking them to the really soft texture, if you know what I mean. So when we take these out of the refrigerator and tray them up, we'll drain them again, but they'll be very soft, and we'll freeze dry them. And I assure you that once they're freeze dried and we take them out of the freeze dryer and reconstitute them, they reconstitute to al dente again, not a soft soggy noodle. So you have to trust me on that for now, but just follow along and you'll see the results. So let me get those in the fridge, and then we'll go ahead and make up our cheese sauce that we're going to use for this. And like everything, I got a story. Back in the early 80s, I was a young man and had a young wife, and we used to play pinochle with a couple of friends from the military, a husband and wife friends. And their wife introduced us to Velveeta Rotel dip with nacho chips. And what's that, 40 years ago. The wife's gone, everything's gone, but the recipe has stayed with me. And I use it quite regularly because I just love this dip. And this is kind of what we're going to make today. So I have a 2 pound block here. We're not going to use the full block. See if I can get this open with my gloves on. Alright, once you get it started, it's easy enough. Alright, so these are marked 8/16, so we're going to cut it right there. We're using 1 pound. You can buy a 1 pound block, but like I say, I like the cheese dip, so that's what I'm going to make with the other pound of that. No prizes. I'm going to just chunk this up into my bowl here. Alright. take my, what is it, 10-ounce can of Rotel diced tomatoes with green chilies, and I use the original. And we're going to dump the whole can with the juice into the cheese. And I'm going to stick that in the microwave for about 3 minutes, and we'll give it a stir. I'll see you in 3 minutes. Okay, that went for 3 minutes. Let's give it a good stir, get it all mixed up as much as we can. Alright, I'm going to stick that in the microwave for 2 more minutes. Alright, that was another 2 minutes, so that's a total of 5. We're just going to mix that up, get it all nice and melted and smoothed out. Now, there's my dip, and I just love that stuff. But for my mac and cheese, I'm going to add 1 cup of milk to that. We're going to do that slowly. Get that all incorporated. Alright, now that's way too runny for mac and cheese, but we are freeze drying this, and by making that so runny, when that comes out of the freeze dryer, this is going to be super easy to reconstitute or powderize and reconstitute from that powder. And obviously we won't add as much moisture to it when we reconstitute it, so it'll be a lot creamier than the 1 cup of milk. So, you know, might be that 1 cup of milk might be reduced down to a half a cup, say, in the whole product. So it'll be a lot creamier. So that's all mixed up. Move this to the side. Get the tray here. We're just going to pour that into our tray. Like that. Now my goal is to end up with 10 portions of mac and cheese, so I got my divider set in 10s. So we'll have 1 block of cheese for every pouch of macaroni. I'm going to let that cool down, then I'm going to stick that in the freezer, get it frozen solid, and I think I will show you when I come back. Next time you see me, my macaroni will have soaked overnight, and we'll tray that up. So I'll see you for that step. Okay, so we let that soak in this water overnight, and I stirred that occasionally, and they've all swollen up. So I'm going to drain these, and I'll be right back. Alright, so now we're going to fill 3 medium trays. We're going to evenly distribute this between 3 of these medium trays for our meals. And there we have it. So each of those trays weigh the same, and I've divided each tray into 10 squares. My portions are going to be 3 squares of noodles and 1 square of cheese. So 30 of them there, and 10 squares of cheese in the freezer already. So we'll get this in the freezer, get it frozen solid. Next time you see it, it'll all be coming out, and you're going to see the magic of rehydrating macaroni and cheese in 5 minutes. If these results are duplicated from my successful run last time, which I'm confident that it will be. So I'll see you when these come out of the freeze dryer. Okay, so there we have it, my standard 40-hour run that I do on my freeze dryer and my mac and cheese. So let's get this packaged up right away. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a Ziploc bag. This is a sandwich size type bag. And I'm going to put 1 square of cheese in each bag, because we're going to finish with 10 pouches of mac and cheese. And I'm going to crumble that up using my roller pin. Just like such. I'm not going to zip this all the way shut, because you want that my O2 absorbers in the pouch to be able to take any oxygen out of these bags. So I'm going to roll up 10 of these, set them aside, and I'll be right back. Okay, we got those all rolled and up in Ziploc bags. They are not sealed. Zip is not sealed on those. So I'm going to put 3 squares of noodles in each pouch. The best way for me to do that without any special tools is just pick them up and put them in. These noodles are nice and airy, and if they go as well as my test batch that I did perfecting this, they are going to be al dente. Alright, so there's 1 pouch of that, and we'll just throw a bag of cheese in there with that and set them off to the side, and I'm going to do that 10 more times and I'll be right back. Or 9 more times. I'll be right back. Okay, so I got 10 of those packaged. Now we're going to take our package of 10 O2 absorbers, which, by the way, is why I like to work in 10s. Those dividers divide each tray up into 10. 3 trays makes 3 10 square packages, so that's 10 servings with the 4th tray for the sauce. So everything works out in 10s, and I don't end up with any extra O2 absorbers that I have to reseal up. So pretty cool. So I'm going to put a 300 cc O2 absorber in there, zip that shut, do that to the rest of these, and I'll be right back. And just to demonstrate my heat sealer, stick that in there, hold it for 1000, 2, 1000, 3, 1000, and it puts a beautiful seal on there, professional looking seal that is not going to go anywhere. That is not going to open. Still hot, but I love that sealer. What I do is I put if you have one of these, you want to play with it to get the right temperature, but I keep mine at about 125 on this, and that seems to work very well with these 7mm bags. And if you're wondering where I got it from Amazon, and I do have a link to these in my Amazon store, which can be found in the description box below. And should you choose to use that link, that supports my channel a great deal, so I appreciate that. So I'm going to turn this off, let this cool down, put these away, and we'll do a taste test on one. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, here goes the magic test. I don't know if you noticed, but I put a little asterisk on here. That's because I've done so many tests of this mac and cheese that I did not throw away because I can't afford to waste food that were less than good, shall I say. But I want to be able to know that this is a good batch. Alright, so let's get one of these opened. That's what we got inside. So let's take our O2 absorber out and our cheese out. And what I have here is a cup of hot water from my Keurig, so it's almost boiling. We're going to pour that whole cup in there. We're going to Ziploc that shut. And I'm going to let that sit for 2 minutes in that hot water, and I'll be right back. Alright, so that's been 2 minutes. So we're just going to give that a stir, make sure everything's getting wet in there, which it is, and I'm going to steal one of these noodles and see what it's coming out like. Oh yeah, just a little bit chewy, which I expected. So we sealed that up, and we're going to let that sit for 2 more minutes. I'll see you in 2 minutes. Alright, that's been another 2 minutes. So far we got 4 minutes in this. I'm going to open that up, give it a stir, check my noodle. I get one out. Yeah, that's perfect. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to drain that excess water off. And that's still hot, so be careful. And those noodles are just so good. I'm going to spend a second and put those back in my pouch. Alright, so now we got the noodles. Beautiful texture. I'm going to take my powder. We drained the water off. Take my powder. Add it to my noodles. Make sure you get all that in there. Give that a stir. We're keeping our water just in case I need it. Thin that out a little bit, because that does look a bit dry. So I'm going to add a little bit of that water to there till we get to a consistency that I like. Oh yeah, that's looking good. Let me tell you guys, I think we solved the macaroni dilemma. Alright, so we've give that a good stir. Let's dish it up and see what it looks like. Look at that. Yes. You know, John and Bibbs, he don't give up too easily. He might take a break. He might think about it. Off camera, he might experiment. You never know just exactly what he is doing. off camera. Scrape that sauce out. Look at that. That deserves a close-up. Oh yeah. Alright, you know what we gotta do now? We gotta taste test that. Oh man, does that look pretty. Let's see what it tastes like. Those noodles are perfect. Let me get a plate here. Let's see if I can demonstrate to you the al dente-ness of these noodles. Am I in the camera? Alright. Look at that. See? They're not crushy where they fall apart. But they are just a perfect texture. And this is spicy. We could have just as easily done this without the Rotel, but I would replace the 10 ounces of Rotel tomatoes with 10 ounces, which is 8. About a cup and a quarter, cup and a half of milk. Because you want that airiness in the dried product. Without that airiness, I found it's very hard to get it to crumble when we want to make a powder, and it's very hard to rehydrate, reconstitute from that powder. But by watering that down with the milk, and in this case the Rotel, that makes it very airy when it's dried, and it just rolls out. I think you saw in the video, it just rolls out very nicely to a very fine powder. But these noodles, and that creamy cheese, by the way, just came out perfect. There is no way that you would think that those macaroni's noodles were freeze-dried. And it's been a struggle for me to get that, but what this does now is it opens a lot of doors for me. That I can do other dishes other than using my angel hair or my ramen noodles or my egg noodles, which all rehydrate very well. But now we can go some more exotic noodles like macaroni. Now there's an exotic noodle, and make some nicer dishes, because now we know we can do it. I hope you're as excited about this video as I am, and I hope you try it out, and I look forward to seeing you next time.